Hello, my name's Helena and I'm going to talk about my career as a dancer before I became a teacher.
How old were you when you started dancing?
I think I would have been about 4 or 5 years old, and I started off by doing ballet classes just once a week at my local ballet school, and then I did that for about till 10 years maybe, till I was about 14, and then we moved and my parents asked me if I wanted to carry on doing ballet, and I'd got really bored of it by then, so I said no. And then I had a gap of about 2 years where I did some Scottish dancing because that's what my parents did. And then I had a new dance teacher at school for PE, and we started doing choreography, and I got really excited by that. So that's kind of how old I was.
What sorts of dancing have you done over the years?
I've mostly done contemporary and ballet, but I've also done quite a few folk dance styles from different international companies. So I've worked with Russian companies, I've learnt Russian dancing, I've done Israeli dancing, I've done African dancing, I've done Spanish dancing, because every year I used to go to a festival in a place called Billingham in the northeast of England, where it's quite a famous folk dancing festival, and as part of that festival they have summer workshops, and you get the opportunity to work with the visiting companies that come along. So I used to spend sort of 6 or 7 days a year learning all these different dance styles with these different companies. But my main dance styles are ballet and contemporary dance.
When you left school, did you go to a dance school?
Yes, what happened was I was doing A-levels at school, and I did them sort of like the first time round, and I didn't get the high grades that I needed to get to Durham University, and at that point I wanted to do English literature. So then what happened was I decided I'd retake my A-levels for a following year at the school, and I did, alongside that, I did my dance course all over again because I'd loved it so much. And then my dance teacher found out that you could go to university and do dance degrees, so this was when they were just first starting up. And I auditioned for several universities that were offering dance, and I got into one in London, a very sort of high quality, world prestigious dance school called Laban, and that's where I went, and I did a degree in dance theatre there for 3 years.
Okay, nude modelling, how was that for you? That must have been quite nerve-wracking.
Well, it was quite interesting how that came about, because one of my A-levels that I did fine art as an A-level, and I'd wanted to carry on with my art because I'm still interested in that. And I used to go to classes run by Manchester University where they had a life model, and one day the life model wasn't there, and I said I'd step in and do it. Because the pay was really good, and it was when I was trying to pay my debts off. So the first time was really, really scary, and that first kind of time when you kind of take your dressing gown off and you sort of put it to the side and you go, that is very scary. But what's very interesting about life modelling is that people look at you very differently. You become a problem for them. They're looking at you in terms of shape, light and shade, where the sort of folds of the body are, how to show that three-dimensionally on a two-dimensional piece of paper. And so they look at you in a very, very different kind of way than if you were just randomly without your clothes on, when they might look at you quite differently.
Were there ever any fallouts in the dance troupe? Was it quite a nice atmosphere?
It's mostly very nice. What tends to happen, because of the kind of company we were a small-scale touring dance company, and by the time you come to the end of a tour, if you're in a small-scale company, it basically means you have to do everything. So you load the van, you unload the van. You set up the whole set, the lights and everything at the place you're at. You then have to load it at the end of the performances. You might have had to do question and answers with the audience, so it's all running really late. You load the van, you drive to the B&B. You're all sharing a room together to keep the costs down. So by the end of the tour, yes, there were some kind of snappinesses, and in the van there might be some kind of deathly hushes and everything like that, but you work through it. The biggest issue we had with one project that we were working on is that we worked with a new dancer, and he ended up having a relationship with one of the other dancers, and then that caused some difficulties in terms of, you know, how we were all getting on. It sort of changed the vibe, but that worked out in the end, and it was all right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Why did you stop dancing?
I still do dance. I go to Ipswich every Monday and I'm part of the adult performance group at Dance East there. But as a professional, I stopped dancing because I met my partner and he was here down in the south and the company I was with was down in the north, up in the northwest. So it just made it really difficult to manage a long distance relationship. I also, while I was still with the dance company, I got two quite severe injuries. I partially tore my Achilles tendon, and so for about 6 months I couldn't walk properly, so naturally couldn't dance on it. And I also got a back injury from a car accident, so again that stopped me dancing for quite a while. So that combined with the relationship just kind of gave me signals that it was time to stop working full-time professionally, and that's how it's gone.
What do you miss most about dancing?
The thing I miss most about dancing is that I feel that when I'm on stage is when I really can be myself. I feel that there's sort of aspects of myself that I'm just not aware of in normal day-to-day life that can come out on stage, and that what you see on stage is the full me, whereas maybe what you see in day-to-day life is the person I have to be, or I ought to be, or the scared person, or you know, any of those, the anxious person, the angry person, but somehow on stage that is really me.
So would you say, how do you find teaching in comparison? When you watch the dancers here, do you get irritated because you know you can do better?
Not anymore, I can't do better. I went through a really bad period, sort of 4 to 5 years, when I had to accept that I wasn't a dancer anymore, and that if people asked me what I did for a living, instead of saying dancer, I had to say teacher. And so for 4 or 5 years of that, I was really in quite a depressed state. But now I'm really, really proud to be a teacher. I get really excited by seeing what my students are achieving. I like to see that they're better than I ever was, and that I can hopefully make them even better than they think they can be. And if each of my students I can encourage to have that same attitude to potential students that they've got, and people that they work with and learn with, and all the rest of it, then dance is just going to keep getting bigger and better and improve the whole time, and that really excites me.